Hello, everyone. This is Todd Talks. I am with B. Dave Walters, and we're going to be talking about D&D and a whole bunch of other stuff. Welcome to the show.
Hello. And hopefully you can hear me because, of course, during the song, everything decided to go all staticky. So can you hear me right now?
Yes, if we can hear you. Everything's
Beautiful.
going fine.
Hello, people of the interwebs. And if for some reason I vanish, I'll be back in about 12 seconds. So cool. Cool. You know what that was? That was Jason Charles Miller singing in the intro song, right?
That was Sam. I don't know if Jason Charles Miller was singing in there. I don't think so. I think it was just Sam.
You know, the like sheer rock intensity of it was just too much for my like pedestrian level 1 devices over here, and everything just kind of went.
It's Sam Riegel just killing it on the D&D Beyond theme. Yeah. But it all came about because he did it on Critical Role, and we're like, well, that's our intro song. So we need to turn that into an animated cartoon. So
yep, you're like right click save as.
Yeah, definitely. So you're doing a lot of cool stuff that I'm super jealous of. Like you are writing a comic book for one.
You know, far be it from me to try and hijack a man's show, but I feel like there's an important thing that I need to say just right out of the gates. Okay. You revealed to me while we were doing the mic test that clearly my computer was not paying enough attention during, that you just had toast for the first time since you were 4 years old just now.
Yeah.
Like, what even is that? Like, I mean, like, toast is so ubiquitous. How could you?
I just didn't have a toaster, and then my wife started making toast, and I'm like, she gave me toast. Not only toast, but toast with avocado on it. And yeah, so that's just I'm right into super hipster mode.
I was gonna let you skate on any two of these things. I was gonna let you skate on no toast. I was gonna let you skate on the scarf. I even would have let you skate on avocado, but the toast avocado scarf trifecta.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Just like goth hipster. Yeah,
you know what?
All of it.
Just lean into the warlock thing, though. Like lean into it, like it works. Like a way to stay on brand.
I feel like warlocks eat avocado toast. So, but yeah, I have weird. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I read a thing where somebody it was a tweet where it was just like, imagine the person who invented toast who looked at bread and was like, let's cook it again. You know? I'm like, mwah. Genius. Yeah. Genius.
Yeah. No, not quite right.
Well, I mean, so what's your position on toast now?
It's pretty cool. It's it's a good plate for things. Yeah, I see it. I see what they did in the Dark Ages. I mean, they made
so. I just imagine you just like sitting there lamenting, like, oh, the wasted years, all the time spent eating toast.
All of the things I could have put on toast. Yeah,
it's true.
I know,
but you know what? Welcome to the club. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, because you just like toast bread anytime, and then you have a meal, sort of.
You know what? You can also toast bagels.
I know, that's nuts. See, now we're totally off topic. Yeah, I once lived off saltines for like a year, and I'm like, I should have just gotten a toaster, and that would have been so much cheaper. So don't do the saltine diet, but if you want to get like you want to get like minus 5% body fat, the saltine diet will do it for you in about 12 months.
I could definitely see how a diet of like salt and 500 calories a day would definitely like rip you down to the bone. That is true.
Yeah. You get light. So let's talk about your
yeah. Hey, you know what? This is all on topic as far as I'm concerned, because they need to know who we are, Todd. Who we are. Besides, they see our beautiful, bald, bearded exteriors. They don't know about all this. They don't know about all this.
Yeah.
Or crunchy saltiness.
Or the crunchy, my toasted heart.
Also, having consumed titanic amounts of saltine crackers like explains a lot about the warlock turn. You know, the embracing of the dark path. You've just been saturated in salt. You've actually been liched. You've been lynched.
Oh yeah. I promise you that is part of that whole process. It's not been documented properly yet. And I think eating saltines for like a full year and abstaining
Yeah.
from toast is
Yeah.
probably part of that.
Which
It's like
explains
low tier.
Which explains why there's so few liches. Like, people lack commitment, they lack heart. So props to you.
I think okay, if that's the metric for like liches, then I think it would be like also buy an elliptical and use it every day. Would be another thing like liches have to do because no
Yeah.
one's doing it. No one's
Right.
doing
Yeah.
it.
They just right. Yeah. It's like the phylactery is the stair climber
Yeah.
because it's just gonna sit there conspicuously under a mountain of clothes, and no one will ever think. They'll be like, wait a minute, do these stairs even move? Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what is an elliptical in D&D? Like magical stairs that just an endless set of stairs.
Oh, it's a trap. It's a Grimtooth traps. Like, nothing good can come from an actual elliptical
Yeah.
in the game. Although
Or a mimic.
I would make like an elliptical powered device. Hey,
Yeah.
to bring it back to the comic, which again, I appreciate you trying to keep me on on message
I'll give
here.
it yeah.
But again, it's all the message. It's all the message, people of the internet. I got to semi invent some vehicles for the comic, so I'm not gonna jinx it because I don't want to say the wrong thing and have the plug get pulled. We were talking about hubris and struck down earlier. Yes, writing
until it's published, man.
It's true, until it's out, like out. Yeah. Writing a comic, Dungeons and Dragons, Dark and Wish. Tess Fowler and I are doing the book. It is fantastic. Just now, literally right before I got on with you, I saw all 20 pages, all 20 colored pages. I saw for the first time myself right before we went up. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It is phenomenal what Tess has been able to do. And I really am excited for people getting to see it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And maybe some feels. A lot of feels.
How did that? Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine. Especially like the first seeing your name in print on any D&D product has to be almost hard, right? So like
it's wild. It's wild. It's wild being able to essentially contribute a link to this chain that goes back, almost as far as I can remember. I mean, I've been playing for almost 30 years now. And to be able to leave my mark on the realms, to not just tell my story, because anybody who's playing the game is telling their story, but to be able to tell my story in such a way that matters, that that actually has a lasting impact on the world, that it is canon, is quite frankly ridiculous. And I've got to do some fun things with it, and I took a lot of big risks that I didn't necessarily know if it was going to work. Because it is a collaborative art, of course, even though, I mean, I'm writing the scripts. The first person I always check in with is Tess, to be like, like, do you like this? Is this going where it's going? Is this something that you would enjoy drawing? Is this something that you even can draw? For the most part, she and I tend to be on the same page about most things. And then it has to go through Wizards of the Coast approval. It has to go through IDW's approval. It's like asking both mom and dad if you can go out for the weekend.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, everybody's wonderful and easy to work with, but of course, they have different interests and different concerns and you have to make sure that everybody's happy.
Right.
While all at the same time trying to tell just the dopest story that you can tell. And I think we've done it. 90 to 95% of the things I asked for, we got to do. And the 5% we didn't get to do were all like very random things that I was like super fine with changing.
Yeah.
And the story, I think I really set out to tell in epic. There's definitely going to be some fun parts and some enjoyable parts of it, but tone wise, it really is like an intense sweeping story, like more in the vein of like the Lord of the Rings than the Saturday morning cartoon. So like a lot of really intense things happen, and I take these like sweet, wonderful children, and we just put them through the absolute ringer. And that's why I post, like, because Tess and I are night owls, and we'll both be up working on it at like 3, 4 in the morning, and that's why I would always tweet screen grabs. I'd be like, I'd send her the next part of the script, and she would reply with like, "Oh God, why?" with all these exclamation points. And I'm like, good.
That's how you know you're doing your job.
That is. Yes, definitely. Because I too am familiar with the dark path of warlockdom and lichery.
What can you give us like a loose idea of what the plot is going to be about like a summary of the comics?
Yes, it is. The story takes place over decades, and we see it going back and forth through time jumps. And we meet our heroes when they're teenagers. They're, roughly 15, roughly level 2. Like, I don't use this language in the comic, but I will say this: I made them all in D&D Beyond. I created every single character's character sheet in D&D Beyond because I wanted to make sure that I was accurately portraying what they can do and what they're capable of. And so even when I would show them using their powers, I would check on their sheets to make sure that they'd use the right number of spells and things, which again, in the book, they're not going to be like, I'm out of magic missiles, therefore I need to take a long rest,
Right.
but I, yeah. So it starts with them, I mean, roughly 15, roughly level 2-ish, and it ends with them essentially being in their 40s and being level 20. And all through it, kind of, we hop back and forth. And I apologize because I have 2 cats who've decided to do ninja training like just now. So if you hear like rustling and like jingling collars, they're smart enough to know when I'm busy and I can't come running after them. And they like they really are looking at me like, do something. What? I guess you can't. Yeah. And then, making mischief. That's
what the cats do.
Right. Exactly.
Two little nightmares.
I will tell you something else about it. There's a character in the book who is a tabaxi. And originally I'd written her as being jet black because my 2 cats are jet black. And she was a shout out to my cats. I have Bombays. And the reason why we had to change is when Tess started drawing them, she told me basically she can't make her jet black or there's nothing to emote with. Like you can't see her face, especially like if it's dark. So she had to kind of become two-tone, so she could have eyes and stuff. But yeah, shout out to my kitties. And the story, when it starts, we start with them as adults, and then we sort of jump back to them as children. And if you remember the like Highlander show from the 90s.
Oh man, yes, I do.
Yes. If you haven't seen, go watch it, kids. I don't know how well it's aged, honestly, but it was super legit at the time. But if you don't recall, there was basically our immortal character would be confronted with a problem, and then we'd see some flashback to something that had happened to him in like revolutionary France that was directly relevant to his problem, and then we come back to the present and he'd solve it. We get something similar in this show in the sense that like we're seeing what they're going through as adults, and then we get some of the context kind of incrementally along the way.
I love that. And good callback. One of my favorite villains on that show was the lead singer for Fine Young Cannibals, and I remember for some reason he got his hand severed. that's
dude. I'd forgotten the Fine Young Cannibals dude was on Highlander. You were absolutely right. Yeah, he was. He was really good. I like to think somewhere off in the distance right now, like a single tear is rolling down that guy's face. Yeah. Like I'm gonna play She Drives Me Crazy after this. Like, it's a shout out to our homie.
Oh man, I would totally see. Oh, I would love to see another Highlander series. Actually, I think that would be fun.
Adrian Paul was a far more convincing immortal than Christopher Lambert was.
I think Christopher Lambert is immortal,
right?
But not necessarily for film.
He may actually be a Highlander. That's true. Something I'd heard, and I never confirmed this. This might be, internet lore, but Christopher Lambert's got terrible vision. He's clinically blind. He wears like these Coke bottle glasses. And so when he would do the fight choreography for Highlander, he really couldn't see what was happening. He just kind of had to know where to be. And
not good to be a stuntman on that one. And then,
with a blind dude,
no. Also, watch Highlander 2. If you want to see a campaign get derailed, watch Highlander. Watch Highlander 2, and that's what happens when you just throw canon out the window. And I don't want to talk about number 3. Number 3 got rough.
Yeah, we don't. Although the fourth one, where they were together again, was palatable.
That was weird. I was weirdly okay with that one. The third one bothered me because if there were two people, I can't believe we've gone off the rails this much. If there are two other immortals in a cave,
right,
in a cave for like what 1,000 years, or at least 500 years. So what prize did he win in the first movie? Like third prize. So third prize is knowing everything. And my first prize in the third film is nothing. Really,
it definitely was one of those things where it was written by people who hadn't seen the first one. Although, even though they kind of got it together for the fourth one where they were all together, did you ever see the last one that was straight to Sci-Fi Channel?
No,
with Adrian Paul.
No, I didn't know they made another one.
You don't.
Oh, okay.
You don't. No. Remember, I just spent like the last 10 minutes singing Adrian Paul's praises as a Highlander.
Yeah.
You don't. Save yourself. No, you've discovered toast. Stop on a win. Stop on a win.
I think we easily have a show just about this.
It's true.
I tried to turn Highlander into an RPG, and that's very difficult. Because you're gonna have to kill your friends eventually, which may be a great conceit. Once you hit level 20, someone's got to go. I mean, everyone's got to go.
How would you even do that? Would you just have like a finite level of a finite amount of class levels split between everyone?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, everyone has to be into swords of different styles, and then you really got to work on those plot lines. Like you really got.
I mean, if the conceit is we're doing it in Dungeons and Dragons, you don't necessarily have to use a sword. You just have to have the capacity to take someone's head off their shoulders. Which there's a lot of ways to skin that particular cat if we're in Faerun.
I mean, a fireball technically severs your head by burning it off. So
but like there's just nothing of you left. And
that's how they cheated in that Adrian Paul crossover. They used machine guns.
Yep. Well, I guess I would either do it where you can only level by defeating another immortal, and it might just be level 1 to 2 to 3 or whatever. Ooh. Because that would be the only way you could avoid all the power creep. Because otherwise, you just kill one person and you're like, nah, I'm level 10, and then you kill the next dude and you're like, nah, I'm level 20. I mean, well, because the Vampire the Masquerade, which while not D&D heretical, I know I play a little bit every now and again.
I've heard rumors of this.
Maybe every Friday, I don't know, but there's
on Friday where
Geek and Sundry, Vampire the Masquerade, LA by Night.
I grew up playing that.
I am a diamond with many facets. Yeah, you would lose your goth kid card if you didn't play Vampire. That is true. I only nod to that to say there's very much a kill people and take their power aspect.
Yeah, especially like if a vampire drinks another vampire's blood and kills it and drains all of oh man, I am rusty. But yeah, you get a certain amount of their powers and extra experience and stuff like that. And I always like
what? Well, I would also like the record to show a not insignificant number of the internet wants us to figure out the Highlander rules. So we'll theory craft this. We'll table this. We'll come back to it. We'll make Highlanders in 5th edition.
I think a Highlander 5th edition book, or at least a pamphlet, like a module on DM's Guild. I think could work pretty well. Yeah.
See, we could do a pamphlet on DM's Guild as long as we don't get sued into dust, or like a thread on Twitter.
We'll call it Lowlander.
Lowlander.
We'll just call it quickening. I don't know if they can patent quickening.
We'll make them all immortals. We'll make it solo land. We'll put it in the Underdark. We'll make it all Dwargar and Svirfnebelin. 100% Svirfnebelin sword wielding immortals.
I'm impressed that I didn't even privately. I don't even know how to pronounce that properly, and you just knocked it out of the park. So, yeah.
But see, there's no guarantee that I said either of those words correctly. Like somewhere off in the distance, Ed Greenwood is clutching his chest in dismay.
Yeah. Walters, why have you done this?
I will say this though, you and I, we met at the Stream of Many Eyes event last year.
Yeah.
You were doing interviews with very beautiful, important people, and now you're doing an interview with. I've made it. Started from the bottom. Now I'm here. But I just wanted to say one of the most amazing things about that was how they had all of Ed's like old sketches and maps and things that they framed and were on the walls. And seeing him see that was insane. Like imagine if somebody had like your notes from now in like 30 years from now or at an event, ToddCon. And you're like right. I'm horrified. I'm super gonna make an appearance at ToddCon 2049 in the newly beachfront area of Burbank, California.
No. That's too much sun. Too much sun for me.
It's true. It's everywhere can be sunny by then. Yeah, that's true. No. I'll make an appearance. But sorry, I get very excited about things and saying words. But I do want to make sure I hit the important notes of the comic so I don't get like beat up by Tess later. Right. 5 issues. It was originally supposed to come out the end of this month. I don't think we're gonna get to the end of this month anymore. Okay. I think it might be the very last week of the month. It's probably gonna be like the beginning of March now.
Okay.
Pre-order it. You can pre-order it at your local comic shop now, or you can pre-order it on Comixology.com. If you intend to buy the book, and let's be honest, you should, because it's kind of going to be incredible, do pre-order it, because that really matters. That really does affect us and the things we get to do. In fact, we've already had enough pre-orders that we're now going to have 4 variant covers, or 4 total covers, 3 variant covers.
I love variant covers. They make me so happy.
Yes. Well, it was going to be 1. Everything. Yeah, and then we got some buzz, and then it was 2, and then we got more buzz, and now it's 4. I don't think it's not gonna go past 4. It's not gonna be like get all 12 covers. But yeah, it does matter though. It really does matter. So yes.
Yeah, the collector in me, I get obsessed about that.
Oh, stuff. And they're dope because Tess's stuff is great. The artists that we've got for the alternate covers, all fantastic. And then
when you say Tess, who are you referring to? Remember?
Tess Fowler.
Exactly. All right.
Yes. So stay on brand. Yes, yeah. Tess Fowler, who you should be following on Twitter because she does a lot of fantastic Critical Role art, in addition to being not a half bad comic artist. I didn't want to say in the book, I leaned very heavily into the lore of the Forgotten Realms, like very heavily. And it was good in the sense that because it is a time jumping story, I was actually able to take and show some fairly iconic events from the Forgotten Realms. Because there's things that happen that our characters are there to witness. And there's some things that happen that they could have a hand in and some things that they couldn't. And it was really neat to get to give nods to those things. And I set the story in the Moonshine Isles because I wanted to do it somewhere iconic that hasn't been done 100 times. And I knew if I'd set it somewhere like Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter or Waterdeep, my hands are going to be very much tied about like what I could do. Like I can't burn Waterdeep to the ground. I mean, not that I would do such a thing.
I just burned a city down in the Ninter Vale, and I got to figure that one out.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But I mean that brings up an interesting topic off of comic books. When you run D&D, do you run it in your own setting for yourself, or do you run it in the Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance or Athos?
So the home game I ran that became Theogony of Kairos, which was the stream we did, the high level stream that we did last year, I set in a previously unexplored corner of the Forgotten Realms. They were basically just in the southern hemisphere. So extremely learned people had heard about Waterdeep, and like they were aware that there was other people in other places, but they were essentially in a completely different place. Different kingdoms, different time. But so the mechanics and the infrastructure was the same,
Mhm.
but their day-to-day experience was different. Um, I like doing that. I like building things up completely from scratch because again, then there's no sacred cows. And if they're in a new capital city that I've created, I can have a meteor hit it and wipe it out. you know,
Yeah.
I can have a dragon attack and have it mean something. That's the real motive for me doing it that way. Is not just to do something different, because just doing something different isn't necessarily better. Because there's a lot of value of having your characters interact with iconic characters and feeling like they're a part, again, a link in that chain. But
Right.
our I think the sword does cut both ways in the sense that it's like if they meet Dritz Duerden and he gets killed, do they really believe he's going to be dead? Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you know, I will say I played in a Star Wars game for many years that was set during the events of the original trilogy, and I personally killed Han Solo, and it was super fantastic, and I still remember it even though it was like 25 years ago. So
Uh,
maybe.
I flirted with, and I ran a 2-year campaign of the West End version of Star Wars,
Yeah,
and
man.
we converted it halfway through to the other version. Actually, three
Mhm.
times. We converted
Yeah,
three times.
it's gone through some iterations.
Yeah, so things like got switched up quite a bit, but yeah, I did keep it adjacent constantly, but I
Yeah,
did flirt with an alternate timeline.
yeah.
That is why I like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed video games so much. Was the DLC let you do some really evil stuff and that actually like kill Han Solo or Luke, and I thought that was like the coolest move to like change that timeline. Like it was so fun.
I
Um,
appreciate that we're just the friendliest, most terrible people. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's
evil
why
evil can be
oh,
kind.
say it with me now. Evil is good. Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Um earmuffs, folks. If you haven't seen Star Wars The Force Awakens and you care, earmuffs.
Right.
So when that certain character gets killed in The Force Awakens,
Yeah.
it everybody was all like sad and teary-eyed. It had zero impact on me because I was like, I did that a really long time ago.
I
In my
did that.
mind,
I
yeah,
killed him.
yeah. He got rolled up in the late 90s. But it's I hope what I hope is these characters that we've created, will go on to live in the lore. Hopefully, we're going to get to revisit it. Hopefully, we're going to get to do a lot more than just 5 issues. Of course, I'm hoping they become as iconic as Dritz and Wolfgar and Catti and all of them. Obviously, I think there's no way to plan for that. All you can do is try and tell
Yeah.
the best and most iconic story possible. But I will
Mhm.
say one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be publishing some of the character sheets in the books. So you'll have an idea, like you could insert them into games and you could play with them if you wanted to. And those character sheets were made on D&D Beyond. And also, let me just say, just as a side note, D&D Beyond was also the very first brand to sponsor us, to sponsor the Uncommon Trust and sponsor what we were doing. So shout out to D&D Beyond. I appreciate it. You guys have been there for us from the very beginning. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate you, and I also like D&D Beyond because I have a job, so that's been pretty cool.
True. You're like, and also they
And
pay for my
also,
toast.
yeah, they pay for
Yeah,
my.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm rich now, so I can eat avocado toast and
It's
yep.
but it's a sprinkle with the tears of your enemies. Like we'll still make it metal. We'll still make it
Yeah.
metal. Yeah. This does seem like a page out of Steve Lichman. Are you familiar with that webcomic?
No, I am not.
There's a webcomic called Steve Lichman, where he is a lich, but it's kind of it's a comedy because he's essentially alone in the underworld. And like he's friends with a couple of other denizens, and he's basically this like anxiety ridden Steve Carell type person that just happens to be thousands of years old. And I
I,
could very much see a lich eating avocado toast being a subplot of like for instance, one of the plots that happens is this warrior shows up finally to kill him, And he's actually happy about it because he wants to die. And he's fighting the guy, and like by the letter of the prophecy, and the hero has to be a virgin. Either he has to be or doesn't have to be. I'm pretty sure the hero has to be a virgin, and he's not, and can't kill him. And so Steve Lichman gets upset and just vaporizes the guy. Like, yeah. But
Okay,
all that is to say,
I'm gonna have to start reading this comic now. This seems like my that seems like my jam.
Seems like it would be your cup of tea, or dare I say, your slice of toast.
I'm never gonna live this down. Yeah,
you're welcome.
See, see, I got married, so I have to be healthy,
right.
And I'm trying, because otherwise it would pretty much just be like Pepsi and Pizza Hut stuffed crust. That's all I would be eating probably.
You know, but I don't know that like twice cooked carbs constitutes health, though. But
no, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's questionable.
But hey, there's avocado in it. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I'm not just gonna sink my teeth into an avocado. It's just weird.
I will tell you this though. This is another thing that I can start talking about slightly more as we're working on a streaming tie-in for the comic. Also,
you have my attention.
The stream was go on. Yeah. Because the stream was conceptualized at the exact same time the book was.
Okay.
We're still nailing down some of the details, so I have to vague book a little bit, unfortunately, but I'm hoping the stream is going to launch at the same time that the book drops. And as of now, you were about to say something? Yes.
No, but lots of great things have started that way, because look at Dragonlance. Dragonlance originally was actually a D&D campaign, and then they released the books and they released modules, and they did vary quite a bit, especially like the further they went along. But I think that's fantastic. Like, yeah, to tie in a stream to your comic, that's exciting. I think that's really exciting.
I will also say there are several Easter eggs for the upcoming summer event for Dungeons and Dragons in the book. So by the time the summer event comes out and the next couple of supplements come out, I think you'll be able to come back to these books and be like, oh, that's why that was that. That's who that guy is. That's why they went there. So it is very much woven into the fabric of both where the Forgotten Realms have come from and also where the Forgotten Realms are going. Because like I went so far as I went back to like iconic adventures from second edition in the 80s, and I brought heroes from old stories and I brought them and I just made them older. And then I took some characters from things that are coming and haven't even been revealed yet and just made them much younger. And I have our heroes interacting with all of them in different ways at different places. And that was really a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do. And and for the stream,
some NDA ice skating there.
Did you like that? Did you see what I did? See what I did? Yeah.
Didn't break it.
Well, I mean, again, it's to use the stream of many eyes parlance. It is not the type of thing where you're like, oh no, I hope a multi-eyed person isn't trying to steal a dragon's hoard. No, it's not that on the nose. It's nods to allusions that will make a lot of sense. It will make more sense a year from now. In the stream, we are probably going to be going with one period in time, because our heroes in the story, they are mercenaries. This isn't a spoiler. You find this out immediately. They're mercenaries for the White Sails mercenary company. So they sail up and down the Sword Coast doing things and having adventures. And I believe the stream is almost certainly going to be a mission or a couple of missions they went on in that capacity. Because even though my hope is to have the stream and the book dovetail, I mean, the reality is I only have so much control over that, unfortunately. And I have to be wary of accidentally giving away the ending if I said it at the wrong time. So having it be a little earlier is probably the simplest solution to that. And then we'll get to explore a lot more of the lore. And I believe the stream is at least going to start before I'm done writing the story. So I'm hoping even the events of the stream are going to be able to affect the content of the book. Again, that's kind of out of my hands, as like deadlines continue like sliding around, but that's my hope. Yeah, to have them like co-mingle and feed each other.
Yeah, that's kind of like the dream.
Yeah, it's what I really wanted. I mean, at the risk of sounding overly dramatic, like I take storytelling very seriously. I take the fact that people are going to take the time out of their life to read this book or watch this stream very seriously, because when you invest your time in something, you're investing your life in it. And they could be doing literally anything else, and they're taking the time to spend it with us in our story. And I want to make sure that that's a journey worth taking. And hopefully, things can be pretty tough for people, especially at this particular time in history. They're very hard for a lot of people. And if something I can do or the stories we tell can help somebody sort of step out of their own troubles for a little while,
Yeah.
and be somewhere else, then I think that's a good thing to like give to our fellow human beings. So I really like wrestle and like like tinker with every little thing of these things, and I don't do anything at random for that exact reason. Like a lot of forethought and planning goes into this, and hopefully it's gonna pay off. I mean, so far I think it looks good so far. So
I
far.
mean, do you get that same thing when you dungeon master, when you run a game, that kind of stress because you realize like for 4 hours, um, you you are creating this thing for your friends and potentially an audience, and you do not want to let them down. There's like this. I get anxious every time now,
Bel
because I realize like how valuable everyone's time is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, believe it or not, my planning process for a D&D session or a comic book or a streaming session or a screenplay are actually the same. My process by which I plot the narrative out is the same. The only difference is when I'm playing a table session, I leave a lot more room in the middle because I don't want people to feel
Mhm.
like they're on, railroaded, or feel like they're
Yeah.
they're on, being forced to go a certain direction. I will say one of my dark arts of DMing, which DMs listen carefully, players earmuffs again, is a lot of times when I know they're going to fight the dragon, it doesn't matter if they go left or right. You can go in the cave, not go in the cave. You can go, in that room. You can go down the stairs. All doors lead to the dragon. So it's just because if that post is driven
Okay.
into the ground, then I know he doesn't do that. No, Todd would never do that. Of course.
No, I have
Honestly,
experimented with actually not doing that. There are times where I'm like, okay, that's my fault. You shouldn't have to do this thing. Like I've let towns burn to the ground because the players are like, these people are rude. So I'm like, well,
but
that's my fault.
I try to let the characters be at cause and everything, because to me that's
Yes,
the point behind tabletop games. That's why we play them. Because again, in life, a lot of times people don't get to feel powerful, and you don't get to feel like you're having an impact. And
right.
I think that's what tabletop games give to people. And even it's not about goodness or badness, because again, you and I are nerding out about killing Han Solo. It wasn't that we had anything against Han Solo, it was the fact that we could affect it, you know?
Right.
And I think when you're DMing, uh, to the greater extent that you're taking that away from the players, you're doing them a disservice. So
Right.
if so I know I just said they're going to fight the dragon no matter what, but I guess a more accurate statement is they're going to encounter the dragon no matter what. And if they're like, yeah nah I'm like, well, okay, or negotiate, or join it, or whatever, because the players will always surprise you, and they will
Yes.
always be more ingenious, more crafty, and sometimes more treacherous than you could ever imagine. And I think that's what makes it fun to be a DM. That when they're surprising you, when they're coming up with something, when they hit that lucky 20 dice roll, and because like I had an experience, I ran a Pathfinder game. I know. Where I did the entire thing where we ran a group from 1 to 20 over 4 years, and one of my players was a dragon rider, and his whole thing was he hated evil dragons. Like that's what he existed to do. He actually was a paladin, and all of his stuff was built around slaying evil dragons. And I gave him an arrow of slaying shot when he was like level 8. So he literally basically had Bard's black arrow, basically.
Mm.
And he had it and he kept it. And many levels later, there was this whole big event that I had planned where this red dragon attacks a village. And it was the first time they'd ever got to fight like a legit red dragon. And the slaying shot arrow, mechanically, the save to not die was very easy. And it was a con save, and dragons have just a truckload of it. And so we both knew it basically was useless. But he sees the dragon. He's like, my time is here. Fire my slaying shot arrow, which honestly I'd forgotten he had because it'd been like 10 levels, which is like 6 months real time, but he knew. So shoots the arrow. I roll my save 1. And my group knows, my house rule at my table is 20 always succeeds, 1 always fails. Be it a skill, attack, whatever. Those are the buffets of fate. That like nothing is ever guaranteed, nothing is ever impossible.
Yeah.
And round 1, action 1, slaying shot arrow drops the thing. Like this like penultimate encounter that I was explaining. It's like boom, boom. But it was worth it to have him have that moment that he enjoyed and he still talks about and he will always remember. And that was the point, I could have, overruled that or tried to be like making some other thing. And then it would have been just another fight. And then it's not the same, like it was, I'm glad I got to share that experience with him basically. Because again, that's why we play the game.
Giving your players moments that you yourself sometimes wish you could have as a player is like the best experience
yes
you can ever have. And those random moments are because they own them. Like the random, that's why we have dice. Is like you own that moment. No one knew that D20 would go that way. And you never forget those moments when you're role playing and sharing a story with your friends. It's insane.
Absolutely. And I've been fortunate in my streaming career that I've had 1 or 2 of those Hail Mary moments that actually got caught on camera. So it's like, it's not just, getting to hit the hole in one, but it's like you hit the hole in one on the PGA Tour, and because well, I don't want to spoil anything. So I will just say there's been moments, in We're Alive Frontier in particular, which is another show that I'm on. In fact, our season 2 finale is tomorrow, where it seemed like death was imminent. And it was kind of like, well, I'm just sort of going to hold this guy and you guys get out of here. And then it's like, roll. Oh, roll. Oh, roll. Oh, well, I guess we won. Yeah, USA. Especially because that one in particular is an exploding dice system. So
like West End's Star Wars was. Things could just get out of hand really quick.
Roll a lot of dice in the West End Star Wars. But you know what? That was a solid system. I really enjoyed it.
Remarkably elegant for a system that only uses D6s.
Yeah. I mean, right now I like the Fantasy Flight game fine. But that's when I turn into a Star Wars hipster, where I'm all like, the West End game is far superior than the current.
They re-released it too, the West End version of the Star. Yeah, I saw a reprinting of it in the hobby shop. So
I don't need a reprinting because I've still got them all.
I got my nasty Darth Vader falling apart blue one still.
Yeah, man. I mean, I even have because I keep all my box sets together. I just dug out all my old D&D box sets recently, and but you stop talking over there. All right. So he's like, let me tell him what I think about the West End Star Wars game. I have did you ever play the Dark Strider box set?
No.
So I'm super gonna send you a picture of this when we're done. So they put out a campaign box set that it was basically their answer to Star Trek, because you're the crew of this Corellian Corvette, and there's the box set and there's 3 supplemental books. And so you're not a part of the rebellion. You're not Imperials. It's just like you're just the crew of a ship doing stuff. You know, and it was really neat. It was really enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
Yeah, our theme for our Star Wars campaign was we are the bad guys, but we're not even like we're the B-list bad guys. So we didn't even do things that were that evil. we were just like, and I've always printed them wanted posters, and they were always like mostly dangerous, you know. like
you guys were like Greedo level,
real low. Yeah.
Yep, you're like Greedo level homies. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, at best, like, yeah, below Greedo. Now, before we run out of time, because you and I, we should just have our own pop culture show where we talk about that.
Sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah, that'd be fun. What are some of your tried and true dungeon master tips that you've learned over the years?
I wrote an entire thread about this. So if anybody's interested, add me on Twitter and I will link you the thread. But I will say more than anything, know that it's a collaborative art. Know that it is not up to you to know every answer to every question. If you're not sure about something, even if you are sure about it, something that I found to be very useful is they can walk into a space and it's like, all right, you all walk into the inn. Todd, tell me what it looks like. You know, and then let them come off the dome and like contribute something to the narrative, which is surprisingly enjoyable. It simultaneously takes the stress off you and it increases their engagement. So it's like win-win. I would also say, have an idea in advance where you're trying to go with the session and don't be afraid to share that with your group. This is a trick that I picked up in the streaming community, and it is incredibly useful. And it doesn't mean that you have to spoil things, but it's just like, hey, you guys, head roughly towards the mountain, you know, or don't go to the mountains, you know, like roughly head to the Underdark, or absolutely do not head to the Underdark. So everybody's kind of rowing in the same direction, because again, even though you don't want to put people on rails, you also don't want to waste their time, have them spinning their wheels when they don't know where you're trying to go. Which is always advantageous. Try and give everybody a chance to be important. I think the single best story I've ever seen in terms of making everybody useful is the Justice League cartoon from the late 90s and the early 2000s. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Hawkgirl, and the Martian Manhunter. Which by definition, Superman and Martian Manhunter by themselves can do literally what all the rest of them can do.
Right.
But time and again, they were all important. Time and again, they were all necessary. Time and again, there was something only Hawkgirl could do or only Flash could do. So the parallel with that, with the D&D campaign, is you might have your god wizard and also have the rogue and also have the druid. And it might seem, especially if you're playing like some earlier editions of D&D, things like 3.5 and stuff, where like the druid pet, you know, was more useful than entire classes. The burden is on the DM to make sure you're pulling those characters in and giving them a chance to shine and giving them a chance to be relevant to the narrative. Because again, nobody wants to feel useless or unnecessary or like they're not making an impact. Because again, like I was saying before, I really need to underline, it's giving them a chance to feel like they're at cause in the narrative. And by at cause, I mean the things they do matter. They're having an impact on the story. They're having an impact on the world that the characters find themselves in. They need to feel that vitally, because that's the point. And I think more than anything, by the time you get to the end of the session, everyone should be looking forward to the next one. You know, everyone should be like, "Oh, I can't wait to play again." Ideally, you're going to be friends at the table and off the table. But at least be looking forward to the next time you get together. And I guess the very last thing I would say is if you're thinking about streaming, do it. Turn on a webcam and let it roll. You know, you know, get your friends together, have some fun. Yeah.
All right, that was all Fantastic advice. And I still make one mistake, and sometimes I will let my players spin their wheels to make something a little more complicated than it needs to be, and that's not what it's about. So that's that. I think every dungeon master, like, I think we're always evolving, and sometimes we forget some of the old lessons. Like, I recently DM'd a session, and I was like, why did I make it so, like, I should have just been more direct, not railroady, but like.
Well, you never go wrong. And it's funny because this was a conversation we had about Vampire, is that since it's a modern day game, we have the advantage of these things. So literally anytime we could be like, so-and-so calls you, you can't do that in D&D, but you absolutely can have a messenger arrive with a dispatch or have them overhear a conversation, have a god appear to them, send them a dream, literally anything. Now, if the players ignore that, so be it, and then the game goes, where it goes. I will say this one other thing, since a lot of times people hit me up asking about how to get into streaming and what to do. So let me lay this on you. The difference between a streaming game, well, obviously I would like your opinion on this also, Todd, because you've, streamed once or twice. But to me, the difference between a streaming game and a home game is, I think in a home game, the socialization and the fraternizing with your friends is as much or important as the game itself. Talking about work, talking about your boyfriend, your girlfriend, what's on Netflix, eating dinner together. That's a part that's all a part of the festivity. Streaming has all of that extracted. It's nothing but the game. And I mean, the tone of your game or at your table might allow for the odd, that's what she said, but for the most part, you're just playing the game. So if you think your group might be ready, I would say try and make it through at least like a campaign, either not breaking character at all or staying as much on target and on topic as possible. I mean, it may be that your group is just so entertaining and silly that you can form an audience that's just around watching you guys be you. I mean, certainly that happens, but I think as an industry, try and stay on brand, stay on message.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only time, and this is something like a show I would eventually do in the far, far future, is if I could almost do like comedians in cars type of show where, it's a bunch of celebs who love D&D and we're playing, but we do have like, my kid threw up all over my shoes, I'm late. And, just like that banter in between D&D, then I'm like, I can see that. Actually, honestly, I could see that to be very entertaining to see, like, as an insight into the lives of the people at Wizards of the Coast. Actually, like,
it's true
to see them play a D&D game together and then like also talk about their day, their personal lives. But I probably could never get that sold.
It's true, or at least you couldn't get it on the stream.
Yeah,
something that really amazed me. When I was a stream of Many Eyes, that was my first time being around a lot of the people from WotC. I like Twitter knew them, but it's my first time hanging out with them. And there were a lot of like secret rooms and like conference rooms and things where they were sneaking off to play D&D. And that was just amazing to me that I was like, you guys like really love this. Like they would like, I mean, I won't like bust anybody out, but I mean, I'll name drop and be like, where's Merles? Oh, he's in there playing D&D. And you're like, serious? Like now Waterdeep is downstairs and you guys are up there nerding out playing. And I think that was one of the coolest things about that experience, which was great from start to finish, but just seeing how much they all really love the game. Even like after years of working on it in some cases. Like I was digging through some old issues of Dragon magazine and it had some a Planescape story that Perkins wrote. And I sent him a picture of it and he's like, that was my first publication credit, and with the money I made from that I bought a car. And just being able to like flash back to that, and his love of Planescape that continues now is really great to see. Really great to see. And now to be in my spot where I'm also able to like add my little. I'm bedazzling. I'm bedazzling the fringe of the realms. It's neat. It's neat. Hopefully, again, when we're at ToddCon 2049, and
There's
again in Beachfront,
a lot of bald people.
It is a lot of tans, a lot of beachfront property.
No tans. No, you're not cosplaying as Todd if you have a tan.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
With Lich Todd. It is true.
Mean, you can be burnt. Because that's what happens when I go to LA. I have to hide. I just run from air conditioning to air conditioning.
But you're staying on brand with the hood and everything. It's like, hey man, if Jason Charles Miller can survive here, you can.
That's true. Yeah.
He's the color of the word talks written above our head right now. Like JCM is ghostly. Yeah. I love you, but it's true. Yeah. He's the nice Ferratu.
He's a pale guy. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. That's in my entire career path changed because I always wanted to interview and do stories about D&D. And the first time I went there, I met almost everyone that day. Interviewed a bunch of them, and they were all lovely, and they cared so much about D&D, and they were so passionate and informative and just excited to talk about D&D that I'm like, this is all I want to do. I just want to interview this all the time for the rest of my life.
and like when I was talking about the approvals from the books and everything, I mean, that's the place that it comes from. It comes from that place of love and the encyclopedic knowledge of what has happened and what is about to happen. And again, being able to helm that ship is got to be so fulfilling for all of them. And dude, I mean, how wild is it? How wild is it that we're in a place now that like we can have, Dungeons and Dragons as a vocation, and as an outlet, for our own creativity. And I want to reiterate for everybody listening, if you've heard me talk before, if you've never heard me talk before, thanks for watching. But what we're doing, the fact that Todd and I are doing what we're doing is proof that you can do this too. I'm telling you, it is available. Just tell stories with your friends, start meeting people. Don't be afraid to speak up and say hello, especially on Twitter. It's unobtrusive. Say hello to people at cons. Just start shaking hands, making connections, and just forming those relationships. Because you never know what doors it's going to open or what things you're going to get to do. But if you have a story that is inside of you that you feel like you need to tell it. Do the thing. Hashtag do the thing.
Yeah, if you can, if you and I can play D&D and talk about D&D for a living, I think you can pretty much do anything with your life.
It's the first time I was referred to as a professional D&D player for one of the interviews for this book, I was like, oh word, I kind of am though. I mean, most of my time is spent in and around, if not just D&D, definitely tabletop gaming, but a big chunk of that is Dungeons and Dragons. So again, if we're living our best life, you can too. So I'm telling you, Todd gets to have toast.
Look at that! I can afford toast now.
It's started from the bottom. Now we're here. Yes. And if we can, you can. So I'm saying, if we can, you can.
That is a song that got sung when I got hired at D&D Beyond, and it's a hard song not to get in your head a lot of times. And my brother just like last week, because I took over for Heroes of the Veil, and I only had done the second episode, and he said, "You are a professional dungeon master now," and he just didn't say it with like gravity. He just like randomly said it, and I almost like. Yeah, I got teary-eyed because you don't realize how insane your life can be and where it can take you. D&D is fantastic. I go ahead.
I realize we're about out of time, but I mean, I just got interviewed for Dragon. Oh, you're getting emotional. You can make me get emotional. We can't cry. We have to be hard. We have to be hardcore. No, we have to. No, it's Dusty in here. Dusty. It's Dusty. Dusty on the stream. But I got interviewed for Dragon Plus last week, and the first story I ever wrote, I submitted to Dragon Plus. And I was like 13, 14. It was handwritten on notebook paper. Like, it was objectively awful. It probably had like jelly stains on it and stuff, you know? So I feel bad for whoever read it. And it was probably Perkins, because they would have known within seconds, you know, that a child has written this story. But fast forward, and I still finally got to be in Dragon Magazine. Like, it finally happened. So I mean, the interview was there. I'm still telling those stories. So, you know, it all happened. Just, you know, keep exerting effort in the direction that you are trying to go, and your time and your opportunity will arrive. I promise. And in the meantime, hopefully you're enjoying the stories that we get to tell while you're enjoying yours. And I look forward to signal boosting everything any one of you makes in the future.
Dave Walters, thank you so much for being on the show. We will have to have you back very, very, very soon. We did not cover nearly as much as we probably could have. We will.
You know, I would just like to say we hit our quota for Toast and Highlander, though, brother. So I mean, I feel it's a win. It's a win.
Oh, I think we got it for 2019. Yeah, I think we got that quota down. So thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for watching Todd Talks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great one.